Hello again. Thanks for joining me for yoga. This practice will be a yin yoga practice. So we will hold postures for longer periods of time in order to stimulate the fascia. We stimulate the fascia by holding poses for a long time. The fascia responds by producing new hydrating cells to help us feel more flexible. And it's also a practice of surrender. So the yin practice can leave you feeling very calm and refreshed. Props needed for this would be ideally a foam yoga block or 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have a yoga block, you could use something that's about this size. Folding up a towel so that it resembles about this shape, about 4 by 6 or so. Could be a little bigger, could be a little smaller. And then a yoga belt or a strap. If you don't have something that is exactly a yoga belt or a strap, you can use a bathrobe tie or a large belt with a buckle. So let's begin. We're going to begin in seated hero. So we'll bring the knees pretty close together and widen out the feet to make space between our heels for our seat. Sit on your block and then try to remain upright as we start this meditation. Close your eyes. Settle into a slower, fuller breath cycle. Seal your lips and create a gentle restriction in the back of your throat for Ujjayi Pranayama. As you inhale, fill up your belly and your ribs and your chest and your throat with breath. As you exhale, draw the belly in, contract the abdominal muscles, and push all the air out of your lungs. Inhale, expand, warm and widen through the belly. Exhale, contract. Push all the air out. Continue to breathe in this slow, mindful pattern as you start to quiet your thoughts. If your mind starts to wander during the practice or something outside of your practice tries to draw you away, try to come back to the sound of your breath. The sensation of your breath, let that be your focal point or your anchor. Take 3 more breaths like this. If you'd like to make a habit of setting an intention for your yoga practice, I'd invite you to do that now. Or perhaps just remind yourself why you came to your mat today. Ask yourself what type of energy you would like to cultivate during this practice and moving forward. And then build an affirmation or a mantra around that energy. As you inhale, stretch your arms over your head, bring your palms together, gaze to your hands. As you exhale, bring your hands to the center of your heart and gaze at your fingertips. Seal in your intention. And then shift forward into a tabletop. You can set your block aside for now. From your tabletop position, step your right toes behind you and press forward and back to stretch your ankle, your calf, and your toes. Keep your arms straight and strong without hyperextending your elbows. Bring your right knee down, send your left toes to the back of the mat, and rock forward and back. So with every yin practice, there is a little bit of yang. So this little bit of movement is a nice balance to the long passive holds that we do in this practice. Bring both knees back under your hips, curl all 10 toes underneath you. Try to keep your ankles straight and your heels in line with your sitting bones, and then gently push yourself back. If you're already feeling a strong sensation in your feet right now, you can stay right here. If you can offer a little more, walk your hands back. A little more, walk your hands up onto your thighs and sit vertically. While we're stretching our feet, I'd like to go through just a few of the main principles of a yin practice. While we do get a stretch in the muscles, just by nature of the way we're holding these postures, the real goal is more to stimulate the fascia of the body, the connective tissue, and even into the connective tissue that surrounds your joints. And that's the reason why we have to hold these poses for a little longer, because those connective tissues are not as malleable. So they're a little more plastic in nature. So they require longer times to produce a response. The first principle of yin, at least the first principle that I try to incorporate into my practice, is to find the first edge. Finding your first edge without trying to push beyond it. So that means finding a sustainable position, because we're going to be here a while. We want to give ourselves somewhere to go in this practice, and if we go all in right away, we don't have anywhere to progress to. The second principle is to find stillness. So once you've found your sustainable position and found your edge, then it's important to try to be still and let the body respond in a passive nature, finding surrender. To help stay connected to that passive nature, tuning into your breathing is helpful. Hearing the sound of it, taking the inner vision to see the breath moving through your body. And the third principle of yin is to come out of the posture really, really slowly, because it's a progression to get to the end of the posture. It should likewise be a progression to come out. So slow motion. I'm going to take a couple more breaths here in our toe stretch. And slowly start to lean forward if you're upright. Walk your hands back out on your mat. Uncurl the toes and take the tops of your feet to the floor. Now your feet might feel a little bit achy. That's completely normal. You can gently tap the tops of your feet down. And then keep your toenails down onto your mat. Keep your heels about in line with your sitting bones and sit back on your heels again. Walk your hands back behind you. Keep your belly engaged and lift your knees up to stretch the front of the ankles. We won't hold this one as long. More of a counter stretch to our intense toe stretch. Take 3 breaths. I forgot to mention a blanket as a prop. Perhaps you would use a blanket to support your knees in some of our kneeling postures. You can also just roll up your mat in the center. Go ahead and release. Or you can flip the edge of your mat to create a double mat to support your knees. We are headed for dragon stretch next. So we're going to step the right foot out in front of us. Bring your right knee over your right ankle to start and make your toes face straight forward. Hands down on either side of your foot, either onto blocks or onto the floor, and then curl your back toes under and slide your left knee back a few inches until you feel a stretch in the front of your left hip flexor. Now keep in mind, you don't have to go all the way just yet, right? We're just going to set this up nice and slow and take it as a progression. I'm going to be using my watch as a timer so that we can keep our stretches even on both sides. Lift up your right hand and take it to your right thigh, and then heel toe your right foot out towards the outside edge of your mat so that you can make space for both hands to come to the inside of your right foot. And again, your hands can be on blocks, they could be on a pillow here if the ground seems too far away. If you think you have a little more space and you want to slide your back knee back a little bit more, you can do that now. And then we're going to find our first edge in dragon. If you're more flexible, you may start to work your way down onto your forearms. But it's okay to not go all the way. After you've found your first edge, connect back to your slow rhythm of breath. And if Ujjayi Pranayama seems like it's full of effort for you and it feels like a lot of work, you can just let it go and breathe in a more restful way. I do recommend keeping your breath in and out through your nose when possible. Your head should be an extension of your spine. And traditionally in yin, we do offer the option of surrendering a bit, perhaps letting the head drop. But because we have a tendency to do a lot of that anyway, looking down at our devices and looking down at computer screens and things like that, I try to stay away from that. But if it feels really good for you and you would like to do that, go ahead. If you've got your forearms down and you could get your forehead on some support like a block, that would also be a nice way to be a little bit more passive here. So something like this, perhaps. Try to release any muscular tension that you might be holding on to anywhere in the body. Not limited to the area that we're specifically targeting. So perhaps you could soften some of the muscles around your eyes, your lips, your neck, and your shoulders. Muscles surrounding the hip compartment, the thighs, even softening the toes. We have 2 more breaths like this, and we're going to change it just a little bit. Support yourself with your arms. Lift through the spine. Take your hands back down if you were on your forearms, and heel toe your feet out a little bit more. Your foot out, your right foot. Turn your right foot out at a diagonal and start to rotate your chest to the right. Take your right hand to your right thigh bone and just turn the chest. Now, if you want a little bit of a stretch through this right hip, you can come onto the outside edge of your right foot, but be really careful that you don't turn the ankle. So we're turning from the thigh bone, and we're keeping the ankle straight and the foot flexed. And be mindful to not dump all of your weight into the left front hip flexor. It is possible to overstretch that area of the body. So it's really important in this yin practice to not overstretch in those areas. So there's no need to go all the way every time. Take 2 more breaths here. Rotate the chest, pull the right shoulder back away from the ear, maybe take your gaze to the sky. And unwind yourself. Heel toe your right foot back in. Straighten your front leg. Pull your right toes towards your face and press your right heel down. As you press your right heel down, isometrically draw it back, like you're trying to pull your leg bone back into your right hip socket. Press the top of your left foot down. And then have your block handy. Slide it under your right seat and sit down onto it. So your left sitting bone will be just inside your heel, and your right sitting bone is supported by your block. If you don't need the block, you don't have to have it. You could sit on the floor. Keep your back long to start. Lead with your chest and extend your spine over your right leg any amount. And then you can let your head bow down. And it's okay to have a little passive release in the thoracic spine where you round into this stretch a little bit, but the low back should stay long. Time starts now. Finding our first edge, settling into a really nourishing state of breath, and then find stillness. Let your body relax. Passive release and surrender. That is the nature of yin. notice if you could be more relaxed through the shoulders, front and back. The skin on your face, can it smooth out at all? Can you relax your tongue away from the roof of your mouth? And can you use your mind-body connection to direct your breath in a way that honors your body in the position that it's in right now? One more deep breath. And then support yourself with your arms. Start to lift out of your forward fold. And then sit upright for just a moment. Shoulders over the hips. Rebend your right knee. Pull your heel towards your block or your seat. Keep your right heel down and lean forward with your torso until you feel a stretch in your right ankle and Achilles tendon. So if you're more flexible, you may have to lean quite a bit further forward onto the right thigh bone. If you're less flexible, you might be sitting more upright and just trying to keep your right heel down. Just about 10 breaths here. First edge of the stretch. Be still and breathe. One more breath, inhale. Exhale all the air out of your lungs, slow. Walk your hands out in front of you, lift your right heel up and shift back to a tabletop position. Take the tops of both feet down and release the ankles in any way that feels good. And then we'll move on to dragon on the left side. So have a block out in front if you would like that for support. Step your left foot forward and then curl your back toes under and slide your right knee back a few inches until you can just start to feel a stretch in the front of your right hip flexor. Left knee over the left ankle. Toes facing straight forward, then flatten out the top of your right foot down. Heel toe your left foot out so that you have space for your shoulders and your arms to the inside of your left leg. Hands can be on a block. You can come down onto your forearms. Time will start now. We're keeping the knee fairly close to the left shoulder here. on this first series. Soften tension away from the hinge of your jaw. Relax the muscles around your lips and around your eyes, and smooth out your forehead. Slow, steady, nourishing breath. Cleansing, surrendering. I think I made up a new word. Cleansing and surrendering exhale breath. Notice the little spaces between your breaths. A moment of pause at the top of the inhale breath. And just a short moment of stillness at the bottom of the exhale breath. Let yourself really drop into those spaces between. I've been tongue-tied all week. I'm blaming it on the powerful full moon. One more breath. Support yourself with your arms. Release your pose slowly. Heel toe your left foot out and turn your left foot at a diagonal. Start to rotate your chest to the left as you take your left hand to your left thigh. Option to come out onto the outer rim of your left foot, but the ankle stays straight. Draw your left shoulder back, gently spiraling the spine without dumping into the front of your right hip flexor. So just a rotation of the chest for now. Let go of your twist, come back to the center. Heel toe your left foot back in so that it's in front of your hip. Curl your back toes under. Start to shift your hips back as you straighten your left leg out and take your block underneath your left seat. Sitting your right sitting bone down to the inside or just on top of your right heel. If you don't need your block under your left seat, that's fine. Sit up tall to start. And as you exhale, start to extend your spine long over your left leg until you find your first edge. And you'll notice that perhaps there's a big difference between one side and the other, maybe just a small difference. Do your best not to get too attached to that or judge it in any way. Just be in the experience of your breathing and try to find that stillness. Give yourself somewhere to go as you progress into the posture. Close your eyes. Take your awareness inside. And try to relax. It can be really comforting to know that you can give yourself permission to not go as deeply into the posture as you might think you need to. In order to turn on the relaxation response in the nervous system, we have to feel some sense of ease in the posture. If holding the shape requires too much effort and you're not allowing yourself to find that surrender, then it does kind of defeat the purpose. So it's better to come out of the posture just a bit, support yourself so that you can relax. Effortless breath and surrender in the body. One more round of breath. Release, nice and slow. Take your time. Support yourself with your arms. Lift your spine. Sit upright. Take 2 or 3 breaths there. Rebend your front knee. Bring your heel in towards your block or your left sitting bone. And then lean your torso onto your thigh bone. Keep your left heel grounded until you find a stretch in the ankle or in the low part of your calf muscle, the soleus. Don't force this. Just come to that first edge and play with the edge with the breath. One more cycle of breath. Lift your left heel up and shift forward into a tabletop. Any release for the left ankle, you can circle it, stretch it back, and then we'll make our way onto our seat. Legs out in front, and then come onto your back. Have your strap or your belt handy. And because this next series requires a little bit of effort in the hands to hold the strap, I'm not going to hold these poses for quite as long. Your left knee can be bent and your left foot can be on the mat. Maybe let's start with the left knee bent. Right leg straight up. Loop your strap around the ball of your foot. And then let's take the left hand up high onto the strap. And then with the right hand, you'll hold the tail ends. Try to keep your right leg straight and ground your femur straight down into the hip. So feel the back of the pelvis even on the mat, left and right sides. And just gently press the right leg straight down. Be mindful to not hyperextend your right knee. Give yourself a little slack in the strap and rotate your femur outward. Externally rotate the whole femur bone. So your toes are going to wind up turning slightly at a diagonal, your heel inward. Extend your left leg all the way to the ground if you can, and take your right leg over to the left a few inches. With that external rotation, continue to pull your toes towards your face. Keep the ankles straight. And keep the pelvis down. So this isn't really a twist, it's just a slight crossover with the right leg and external rotation. You should be able to feel a response on this outer seam of the leg. Maybe a little bit in that IT band area. Take one more breath. And then start to slowly sweep your right leg back to center, neutral rotation of the leg bone. Have a block out here towards the side on the right. And take your right leg out. Now, even if you could get your foot all the way to the ground here, we're only going to take it as low as the block. So you can take it on the lowest side if you like. That's too far for me. Keep the left leg straight if you can, otherwise you can bend your left knee. And also keep the right leg straight. Did I say that twice? I might have. Keep pulling your right toes towards the back of your mat. Or I guess it's actually the front of your mat. So essentially toes towards your shoulder. And relax the muscles in your left leg. Try to keep your pelvis neutral. And then just let your right leg rest on that block. You can even let go of the strap at this point if you'd like, if you can maintain the position without a lot of effort. Try to release any holding through the glutes and let your inner thighs relax for 2 more breaths. Sweep your right leg back up, release your strap, bend your left knee, cross your right thigh bone all the way over your left thigh bone, shift your hips a couple of inches to your right, and let your legs sweep over to the left for a twist. Now, for this one, I like to have some support under the legs so that I'm not just hanging in space. So you can decide what you'd like to do there, but I do like to kickstand the block underneath the inside of my right knee. And then bring your arms to any comfortable position, preferably resting the shoulders equally on the mat. Supine eagle twist, passive release. If it feels like too much effort to maintain the wrapping of the legs, you can unwind your legs and just relax into a more traditional twisting posture. Soften the tension out of the inner thighs. Let the head be heavy. Relax any tension out of the shoulders and the neck. Notice how when you inhale, and you expand your belly and your ribs and your chest, you might come out of that twist a little bit. And really enjoy the process of sinking back into the twist as you exhale and surrender. There's no real benefit to trying to force or over twist yourself. So resist that temptation to try to deepen the posture and just let it be. Let's finish off this twist with a clearing breath. Inhale fully through your nose. Exhale, open your mouth, audible sigh. Unwind your legs. Bring your right leg back through the center first. And then shift your hips back to neutral. And bring both feet to the mat. Let your shoulders be even on your mat here, and just allow your body to neutralize for a moment. Have your strap. Keep your right knee bent for now. And wrap your strap around the left ball of your foot. Begin by grounding the femur straight down into the back of the pelvis. Be mindful of overextending the left knee, so keep a micro bend in the left knee. And then externally rotate. Give yourself some slack. Rotate the thigh bone outward. Straighten your right leg out. And cross your left leg over just enough until you can feel the stretch. And then pull your toes back towards your face a little bit. Two more breaths. Bring your left leg back through the center. Make it neutral. And then take your left leg out to the left. Let it rest on your block. If it doesn't rest on your block, You can just come to your edge. And then relax. Soften any tension out of the glutes, the inner thigh muscles. Try to be very passive for these next few breaths. Bring your left leg back through center. Bend your right knee, take your right foot to the ground. Release your strap. Left thigh crosses over the right thigh. Shift your hips a little to the left, and then take your legs over towards the right. So just single eagle wrap legs. If you wanted to try to get the double wrap, you could, but that has a tendency to pull on the knees a little bit. Let yourself rest the shoulders down. And if you like, bring some support under your legs. Close your eyes. Go back to your breath. And be still. Bring your awareness to the path and the direction and the expression of your breath. Feel the inhale moving into any of the spaces of your body that are calling for a release. And as you exhale, try to soften and passively relax the muscles around that space. One more long inhale breath. Expand your belly, your ribs, and your chest. Exhale, let it go with a sigh. Unwind your legs. Bring your left leg back through first. And then come back onto your pelvis. Feel a balance there between the right and the left sides. And then grab one block, lift your hips up, and slide your block underneath your sacrum. Be sure that you're not putting your block on your low back. We want it at the very base of the spine. And then raise your legs up into the air. While there is some effort to maintain this gentle inversion, release as much effort as you can. Let your breath be easy and restful. Rebend your knees. One foot at a time, lower your feet back down to the ground. And now you have the option of taking an extended bridge pose by stretching your legs all the way out, maybe a little wider than your hips, and remaining on your block. It's a nice release for the psoas in front of the hips, hip flexors. Or you can remove your block and come flat on your back for Shavasana. Extend your legs out. Bring your arms by your sides. Walk your shoulder blades under your spine. Close your eyes and let go of any effort to control the body or the breath, and be still. You are on your own for the remainder of the practice. Take at least 1 minute to rest your body, or as long as you need. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.